Welcome back, everybody. We are live from Comic-Con, and there's so much big movie news coming out today.
Insanity.
We can't keep up with it. I've just regained consciousness after fainting on the Godzilla 2 news.
I know.
Now there's news about a new King Kong, but first, let's talk about Warcraft,
Yeah.
the World of Warcraft movie.
Yep.
There's new news on that.
Yeah,
Update us.
there's some new footage was revealed in the Legendary panel today. We have Scott and Jim in there, and so I'm just going to read off what they told us about that. Warcraft footage, the orcs look awesome. Travis Fimmel, who's on Vikings, is a knight in black shining armor with golden trim.
I like it.
He has guarded his king and his own family, but has doubts. Then we see a similar monologue from the orc counterpoint, who is a father tending to his own loved ones. But the orc says his home has been destroyed. Is war the only answer is the question. There are lots of shots of the world, very organic, great motion capture for the orcs. Quick shots of Dominic Cooper and Ben Foster, Foster's mage casting spells. Green-skinned Paula Patton aggressively licking someone.
Ooh,
so we have that to look forward
That's
to.
an R-rated movie.
Yeah.
Here's what director Duncan Jones says. Azeroth falls into conflict between orcs and humans. It's an origin story, and the challenge has been doing the set building justice, doing sort of a Lord of the Rings with the technology of Avatar. All right, what do you guys think?
So stuff that has me really excited there personally is the fact that it looks organic. I think that's an important thing. It's honestly in this post Lord of the Rings / Game of Thrones fantasy world, if you're just doing everything where it looks like green screen, that's kind of something I don't want to see.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm probably most excited about the aggressive licking. That's just what I heard that really stuck with me.
I'm a big fan of aggressive licking.
That's what jumped out at you,
Yeah.
David.
I think we've got a question from one of our viewers on Facebook here. Oh, here it is. Kim asks, we know how video game movies usually go. Should we be excited or should we still have reservations?
I think you should be excited.
I think you should be excited too. I mean,
do.
Duncan Jones' pedigree. I mean,
Yeah.
Moon and Source Code are both amazing movies.
I really particularly loved Moon. I'll say that. It's such a clever script, so well conceived, really brilliantly executed.
Yeah.
This is a much more expansive tale.
Yeah.
We talked about this a little bit earlier. The focus of this one is really about how a war happens. Is that interesting?
It's sort of I think that's great. I like this sort of even-handed conflict. The origin of the war of Azeroth between humans and orcs. And I like the fact that it's not black and white. It's not the humans are great and the orcs are evil.
Full color movie.
Yeah, it's full colored, all 16 colors.
I really look forward to the part of the movie where they sit down and play cards.
That's it. You just want your Hearthstone.
Yeah, I want the Hearthstone movie.
We were talking about that yesterday, though. The sort of we keep looking for that white whale of the video game movie that finally is like,
There's
all right,
a lot of them
That's a
in the
good
works
one.
right now.
that's what we're hoping for. I mean, there's the new Hitman movie coming out. We're going to have
Assassin's Creed,
Assassin's
Michael
Creed
Fassbender.
and Splinter Cell with Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one, and I've been saying it all along, and it's funny because they kind of mock me a little bit in the office. I'm like, I'm telling you, Warcraft is going to be the first really good video game movie.
I hope so.
Only in the sense that it's the first one that's going to come out of
Yeah,
all of the
yeah.
ones we just listed.
Yeah.
Although...
Oh, AC might be before
actually,
that.
That might be before that.
Yeah.
I
That's
still,
Hitman, I don't know.
Yeah.
Hitman may be first, but
Hitman's February, I think, next year.
So I have high hopes. I also am a big lover of epic fantasy.
Sure.
And I do believe that Duncan Jones has it in him to create complex characters that are both human and orc. I think this really could be the one that sucks an audience in that maybe never played the game, doesn't even care that it exists.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, we're in this
Also-
world where, everyone watches Game of Thrones. It no longer matters if you're a gamer, if you like fantasy,
Yeah.
just
Sure.
everyone watches Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
The big question in terms of Duncan Jones for me is, yes, he amazing at creating atmosphere and characters, and I'm curious to see what sort of a fight scene he could bring.
Sure.
You know,
That's a
Sure.
really,
Yeah.
that's a really
is
good
it going to be a lot of clicking? Just a lot of, left click.
That's a really good question, and I think it's funny though because oftentimes we think, okay, this is not really a director that does action. People said that about Sam Mendes when he was working on Skyfall. We're like, this guy isn't an action director.
Yeah.
And then he
There's plenty
came
of
out, and it was
examples, yeah.
awesome action
Yeah.
because for Sam Mendes, the focus was on making the action come out of the story.
Yep.
And I find that I like those sequences so much more than the reverse.
Plus the brothers that did
The Russo brothers.
Captain America.
Yep,
Oh,
Winter
come
Soldier.
on.
That movie
They
had
were
the best.
TV comedy directors,
Yeah.
and the action was great. in
And
that
then all of a
movie.
sudden, Captain America was kicking fools off boats.
Yeah. It's hardcore.
Yeah.
Plus, I want to point out Blizzard's games are very high quality, very polished.
Yeah.
So if they're involved in the movie, I think that's probably a good sign.
Yeah, I feel like they're that studio where they don't need the money. Like they don't need it.
They're not trying to do a cash in.
Yeah. And so this is sort of the first thing. There hasn't been a StarCraft movie. There hasn't been a Diablo movie. There hasn't been a Lost Vikings movie as much as I've wanted.
Yeah, I
or
know, I
Rad
keep
Racing.
waiting. Thought this would be the Comic-Con Lost Vikings movies.
I mean, I have really high hopes for this one.
I do too. I think that the point is to focus sort of on the crux of this story, and the created world, of course. But I really like the idea of just digging into even the title itself, Warcraft. What is the craft of war? Why does it start? How does it evolve?
Sure.
How is it played?
Yeah.
You know?
Ooh, I like that.
Now, we're also heard today about Skull Island,
Ooh.
which is the new
What?
King Kong movie.
Yeah.
I know, that's another one that's
Legendary.
like
This is
totally...
Legendary's. Oh, and one more thing.
Yeah. So I saw a lot of people on Twitter said the footage started and everyone assumed it was Jurassic World.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, the camera's pulling back. You see this island, and then you see the giant cave in the shape of a skull.
Yep.
Which
They didn't show King Kong, apparently.
Nope.
So this is a big question that we have. We don't know. They just sort of teased it. They're like, by the way, we're doing this.
Yeah.
Just so you know, we're basically going to do. But it's a reboot of King Kong, yes?
Yeah, not a
Okay,
sequel.
Sounds like
so
not
it's
a
not
sequel.
They didn't say
sequel.
anything about Peter Jackson, so
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't think this is his next movie.
Who is going to do this?
Yeah.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
who are they going to attach to do King Kong? Who do you want to do Kong?
I had never heard of Gareth Edwards before he was
That's
attached
true.
to
Yeah.
Had
Godzilla.
you not seen Monsters?
I know, I hadn't seen it at the
Yeah.
time. So
It's just interesting that both in the same panel you got the Godzilla 2 tease and you got the King Kong. So I'm assuming there's
Kaiju's
going to be a
big
monster.
now.
There's
Kaiju's
going to
big now.
be a kaiju cinematic universe where they finally come
We also got
together.
Pacific
They-
Rim
we
2
already
on
had
the
Godzilla
way.
versus King Kong
Oh my God!
in the
it's all-
60s.
it's
Let's
all
reboot that
happening.
movie.
It's all
Godzilla
happening.
versus King
That's
Kong.
down the line. That's 3 years from now
Yeah,
at Comic-Con,
yeah.
Damon.
Co-directed by Gareth Edwards and Peter Jackson.
That worked really well for
Produced
Tintin.
by Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah. Oh,
We're
yes.
pitching it
You
now.
my brain's bleeding.
It's the interesting thing to me is that obviously there was the big tease out of DC, Batman versus Superman. We've got the Wonder Woman reveal, which will be the biggest event I think at the con.
Yeah.
But Legendary
More than-
came out
Marvel's
swinging.
panel hasn't happened yet,
Marvel's
right? Yeah.
panel hasn't. Say, hey, I could be completely wrong, and they announce everything at this panel.
Maybe.
But Legendary came out swinging.
Yeah.
It's like the little studio that could in
Yeah.
a way.
Yeah.
And they just had this divorce from Warner Brothers. They're partnered with Universal now, and they're not playing. They're playing for keeps.
Yeah, everyone said the Crimson Peak, the new Del Toro movie, looks rad. Mad Max. So yeah, they had quite a show.
They showed Mad Max footage today too.
Yeah, and
So
people said
what
it's
was
crazy.
the general response about Mad Max? Because that's been another one that we've been talking about a lot.
The
And
movie's
like,
been a long time coming.
it's been a
Apparently,
long
the footage
time
they showed
coming.
is very cool.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like a near feature-length long car
Chase.
chase.
Yeah.
Of a movie. Right?
They said that there was a scene where there were a car chase during just a tornado storm. I'm like, all right. So I saw Twister, and I was like, this movie needs more car chases.
I know, right? That's
the,
what it was.
Yeah.
the basic thing about there was early screenings, and what came out of that was sort of like, look, if you like Road Warrior, this is the movie for you.
I
So
do
there you
like
have
Road
it.
Warrior. Going back to Skull Island for a moment, I want to point out, if it's called Skull Island, that might be a missed opportunity, like to not put the King Kong brand in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Good
In order to
point.
interesting.
get the word out, King Kong is a very, very well-known brand.
So is it possible, though, that this teaser was just sort of the beginning? Because as we've known, titles do evolve. We
Sure.
had Batman versus Superman. It
Now
became
it's-
Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. This could become King Kong, Skull Island.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know?
Sure. I
Yeah.
think that'd be a smarter move.
Yeah, I feel like this is the earliest tidbit of a tease. Like,
Yeah.
we don't even have a director or a writer. We don't know what the movie's about. It's just like, hey, this still exists. So
Yeah.
we're going to do something with that.
What would you like to see out of it? Would you like to see Andy Serkis return?
Okay. You know what I would love to see?
Tell me.
The movie doesn't have any humans, and there's no dialogue.
Ooh, actually.
Okay.
It is
That'd be a gamble, but
90-minute, not a silent film,
Just
but
like
just
what
full
is-
of
what
grunts
is
No,
and
King Kong
gore.
life about?
Yeah.
I love what you're pitching
Yeah,
right
yeah,
there.
it's like
Yeah.
Nanook of the North, but with giant apes.
Yeah, I
It
don't
will
know
never
how.
happen.
I don't know how excited I am to see the King Kong story told again.
Yeah.
The same,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
people come, capture him, take him
Right.
back to New York, climbs up the building, falls
Yeah.
down. Like we've seen it before.
I bet there's
Maybe
going to be an
something
Oculus
different.
Rift movie where it's
Yeah.
all from King Kong's point of
Yeah,
view.
that's pretty good.
Yeah. I don't even know if that's a thing.
Marty's kind of pitching everything that I love today, so I'm just going to go with
All right.
what he said.
Still lots of news coming today,
Yeah.
so stay tuned. Right now I'm going to throw you over to Greg. He's talking to the cast of Walking Dead.